Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Nintendo Switch 2 and compare it against the Xbox Series S and see which particular console is the better one for you. Now, here's the thing. With both of these consoles, they're both slightly a little bit interesting when it kind of comes down to it, right? With the Nintendo Switch 2, this is a portable type of console, and that's kind of what you're mostly going for when you're buying these types of, cheaper types of, not cheaper, but you're buying these like newer types of consoles. They're going to be more specifically focused more towards like a hybrid approach where like you can use them like that or you can use them a different way. And they're actually very cool. I'm a really big fan of the way these types of consoles hold up from that side. And I definitely will tell you, in my personal opinion, these types of consoles hold up really well when it comes down to that. With the Xbox Series S, this is a little bit of a different type of device, right? Like this type of device is a little bit more interesting, I would say the least. And I do feel like if you are about to go through and like buy these types of consoles, they are definitely going to hold up a lot better, I would say, right? In some other ways, because they're going to be more at-home types of consoles. But the thing I will tell you is that it really depends on how you kind of look for your particular use case. Are you somebody who likes playing games on the go? Well, if you do, then it might make more sense to go and buy something like an Xbox, like a Nintendo Switch 2. But if you like playing games more at your house, then it might make more sense to buy something like an Xbox Series S. So we'll take a look at all these things throughout the whole entire video. If you want to pick up either one of these consoles though, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular consoles. The Xbox Series S, which originally came out in 2020 on the front side of this particular console, is giving you a pretty good type of experience for the most part. It's a beautiful looking console for the most part as well. This type of console is basically going to be able to go through and give you a, very good build quality. I'm a fan of the way this console kind of looks from that side. And I would probably tell you, if you are going to go through and like pick up a console, this thing is giving you like a pretty good experience, right? You're getting your standard type of build quality on the outside. It looks pretty good. There's not really too many things to complain about there from the exterior either. And I will probably tell you, if you're about to go through and like pick up a gaming console, there's not a lot of things to really complain about here for the most part. Like, I genuinely do think this type of console does hold up fairly well when it comes down to the exterior. The only thing you're not getting on this console, which is a pretty big downside, I'm not gonna lie, is basically the disc tray. So this is only a digital type of console. You can only play digital games inside of it. So that right there is going to be a pretty big downside depending on who you are. And if you're trying to go through and like pick up a console that's going to be giving you an overall better experience, well, that is going to be a pretty big downside in and of itself. It may not be the biggest deal in the world, but I would definitely tell you, if you're going to go through and pick up a console, it would be nicer to buy one that might be giving you a little bit of a better experience. And with that one, it is kind of giving you a more lackluster type of experience when it comes down to it. But again, it isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it is going to be one of those things you are going to kind of run into when it kind of comes down to it. With the Nintendo Switch 2, this is a hybrid type of console. So this thing is going to be giving you a little bit of a different type of experience. With something like the Nintendo Switch 2, this is a at-home console, but it's also a console that you can take on the go with you. And that's something that's actually really cool here. So you can go through, take this console on the go with you. You can also just keep it and, dock it up to your main display at home. So you do get a little bit of like a mixture type of experience here, which I'm a really big fan of. I love having that type of experience. Now, when you're taking it on the go, the display that you have, it's a fairly large 7.9 inch display. So it's a pretty big display. It's also a really nice looking display too. So I would probably argue from that side, you're getting like a very good type of build, a very good type of display. Like, it's a very good looking type of console when it comes down to it. So I definitely do think from that side, if you are going to go through and pick up a console, this thing, it looks very nice. The display on it is very good. And the fact that you can kind of take it on the go with you is actually very cool. When it comes down to the price tag though, this is something interesting. The Xbox Series S, it's a cheaper type of console. So it may not have all the bells and whistles like the Nintendo Switch 2 has, but it is a cheaper priced console. On top of that though, another very big thing is that with the Nintendo Switch 2, this type of console, it hasn't really been out that long, so it hasn't really had that much time to kind of go down in price in the used market. The Nintendo Switch 2, the Xbox Series S has had already some time to go down in the used market. So that is going to be kind of an advantage there for the most part. So that type of console is already going to be giving you a little bit of a better type of experience. And I do think from that side too, that is kind of a nice thing going on for that type of console when it comes down to it. So, it just depends. If you like a little bit of a cheaper console, you might be able to look at something like an Xbox Series, S in the used market and think to yourself that it is going to be a cheaper one. And that one might make a little bit more sense to go ahead and buy for some people. So that could be kind of a nice thing to kind of experience there inside of that type of device as well. Again, not that big of a deal, but it can be depending on who you are. Now, when it comes down to basically the gaming library and the power behind these consoles, this is going to be another one of those really big things to keep in mind here too. If you're trying to buy a console that's going to be giving you the overall better type of experience, you're really going to have to take a look at something like an Xbox Series S in some ways, because that console is going to be the one that could theoretically give you more power in some cases, So built in, the Xbox Series S has the AMD RDNA chipset, the GPU inside. It's giving you 8-core CPU. It's also giving you 10 gigabytes of RAM, but it is giving you 512 gigabytes of storage built in. Whereas on the Nintendo Switch 2 is basically going through and giving you it's giving you the custom NVIDIA chipset. It's also going to be able to give you 12 gigabytes of RAM inside. So that right there, it is already going to be a little bit of an advantage, I would say. Like being able to go through and get a console with more RAM inside is going to be a nicer thing. However, it gives you about half the amount of storage built inside. So it doesn't give you 512 gigs, it gives you 256 gigabytes of storage inside, which that right there is also kind of a downside. I would love to have seen like more RAM inside of a console like this, more RAM inside of the Xbox Series S, but it did come out 5 years before, so it does kind of make sense. I would say in terms of the power, it's a little tricky because they're not like apples to apples here. I would say from what I've heard, the Nintendo Switch graphics are about the same as like an Xbox One generation, so take the One X or whichever one, but it's about the same as that type of generation, whereas on the Xbox Series S console is more powerful. But I will say the graphics on the Nintendo Switch 2 from the games that I've been able to play, they're very beautiful games, right? A lot of the games are upscaled. You can output to 4K. The display itself is 1080p at 120 Hz, which I'm also a big fan of. But the big advantage of the Nintendo Switch 2 is that you do have the capability of kind of going through and detaching those controllers. So you can go through, take apart those controllers inside of that device, and that does actually kind of give you a little bit of a better type of experience there as well. And personally for me, I think that right there is another really cool looking thing there as well. With something like the Xbox Series S, these games that you're going to be able to play on that console are going to look beautiful. They're going to be very good looking games. You're going to be able to play all the games that you want to on there with backwards compatibility for the digital ones. And that right there is going to be a really nice thing. So it really just depends on which way you kind of look at it. In my personal opinion, I will probably tell you that with something like the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch 2, I feel like this type of console is pretty good, right? It's a very good console. And no matter what you're going to do with it, you're probably going to be able to you're going to have a good time with it. But with the Xbox Series S, this is going to be a cheaper console that might be able to give you a little bit of a better experience here and there. And it really just depends on which way you kind of look at it. So I feel like with the Nintendo Switch 2, this one would be the one that I would rather want, but it's slightly more expensive. Whereas on the Xbox Series S, it is slightly cheaper, but it isn't a portable console and you're going to have to kind of deal with that. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much. Definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.